Hi, everybody. It's me, Teresa Perrin, and I want to discuss MMTLP with you. There's a few things that we need to go over. First of all, as many of you, I'm sure, have seen, a lawsuit has been filed. We're going to discuss that in this video. We're going to discuss the interview with Charles Payne and John Breda. And we're also going to discuss the fact that Robinhood has changed the ticker already and what my thoughts are on that and what that means. And we're also going to get into the real question that's out there is, well, if they're changing the ticker, how is it that shorts don't have to cover and what happens to them? Guys, that's what we'll end with. So let's get started. Please remember, nothing I say is financial advice and always do your own. Okay, so first of all, this lawsuit that's filed says, plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunctive relief. Comes now plaintiff Rosa Tawil, the plaintiff, and hereby moves this court pursuant to 65 Fed RC Civ P for a preliminary injunction enjoining financial industry regulatory authority and officers, agents, servants, employees, attorneys, and all persons in active concert or participation with them or any of them from acts of furthering conspiracy to commit fraud, scheme, device, and artifice to defraud all retail investors of the stock preferred A share dividend MMTLP of Metamaterials Inc. and in support thereof state the following. Now, guys, this lawsuit comes from an individual, an investor that apparently resides in Hillsborough County, Florida. And from my understanding, I believe that he's also an attorney. So I'm assuming that he personally filed this and brought this upon. Again, please know that this is all speculation as far as that goes at this point. This is the article that is floating around on social media. And apparently there is a full file somewhere. I'm still waiting to get access to that. However, it appears that MMTLP, they are defining as fraud and going after FINRA because of the actions. Now, those of you who watched Charles Payne's video that was released today on, I think he's on Fox Business with John Breda, it was quite interesting to see what John had to say, that apparently two market makers came together and came up under fraudulent circumstances with that ticker MMTLP in order to trade it. Because as I stated previously, and from the beginning, guys, this was never supposed to be traded. This was supposed to be a dividend space holder for the original holders of Torchlight. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes that unfortunately we are not privy to. So please keep in mind when you're reading things on social media and from YouTubers that the reality of the situation, guys, is that everything is speculation at this point. What is going to happen going forward? Your guess is as good as mine, but we're going to touch upon that in the next subject, which has to do with Robinhood, because apparently they've already created a ticker name change. And again, I've seen this from multiple different sources online. I do not personally have MMTLP in Robinhood. I have it in my Fidelity account and in my TD Ameritrade account. And I did check prior to filming this video, and there's ticker is still in there as MMTLP. I do not have any notifications from either one of them as far as the time this recording goes, stating that there's any corporate action or anything taking place. So I find it interesting that Robinhood has already issued this. Now, let me show you, in case you haven't seen it circulating, what is going on with Robinhood. It says, a corporate action recently affected your account. On December 13, 2022, Metamaterials performed a one-for-one merger into NextBridge Hydrocarbons. This means that your shares of MMTLP were removed and you now have shares of NextBridge Hydrocarbons. The shares will be labeled MMTZZZ don't you find it funny? ZZZ, like sleeping, like kind of what MMTLP did the last 2 days. Anyways, stupid joke. In your app, since they don't have an official ticker symbol. Next, Bridge Hydrocarbons is not expected to trade in the market after the merger. If the shares do begin trading in the market, we will follow up with next steps. We won't be able to accept orders until we receive additional guidance from the transfer agent, American Stock Transfer, AST. In the meantime, these shares are not eligible for transfer and custody within the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, aka DTCC system, and are being held on Robinhood on behalf of Robinhood's behalf by AST. In other words, guys, if you do not make the transfer of your shares to AST, then Robinhood is issued the shares on your behalf and they hold them. Okay, so that's why that ticker's taking a place. Now, if MMTZZZ is kind of like what MMTLP should have been, like a space holder for your share, because it cannot be traded at this time, right? So therefore, it's just basically holding its spot until we A, either get a dividend, or B, maybe they upgrade and it becomes tradable at any point. It also says, please know that this corporate action applies to all shareholders across all brokerages and was not Robinhood's decision. For more information, please visit MMTLP's investor relations website. You can also contact AST at help@astfinancial.com. All right, guys. So it's my understanding that some people did transfer their shares to AST. However, others did not because they were hoping for the squeeze to occur, which obviously got taken away, right? This seems to me just about as bad as them taking away that buy button when GME was squeezing. And guys, I'm going to tell you that if this doesn't tell you that our marketplace is not a free and fair marketplace, I don't know what will. GME was sign number 1, and this is sign number 2, that we are in a very rigged system. And guess who always wins? It will never be retail, guys. So, what can you take away from this? Number 1, we need to be smarter. This game is rigged, and it's rigged against us. They are here to take our money. So, how can we prevent this? Well, there's lots of ways that I have in mind, but clearly any stock that you invest in that becomes, whether or not it was you intentionally bought it because it was a retail love stock. If it becomes a retail love stock, be prepared because they don't want us in this market and they are doing everything in their power to screw us. And unfortunately, it's very sad, but a lot of these smaller companies, if you listen to what John Breida said during that interview with Charles Payne, and guys, if you didn't see it, you can Google it and you will find it and you can watch it. And I suggest you do because it's very eye-opening as far as more information coming out that essentially two market makers or traders and came up with this MMTLP and fraudulently created it. I mean, and the fact that they were notified that this was done fraudulently and FINRA allowed it to keep trading. FINRA should be held liable for this, as well as those two market makers. However, will that happen? Probably not, because they probably have big bucks, guys, and they probably paid somebody off to do this. And plus, like I said in my previous video, they do not want to disclose how corrupt this market is, because if the international and if large investors become aware of the corruption that's occurring, do you think that, other countries are going to want to invest in the U.S. stock market with the manipulation that goes on in here? My guess would be probably not. Guys, it's very, very sad what's happening, and it makes me absolutely sick to my stomach. And it's just wrong on more levels than I care to admit. But there's something in here that's very interesting. It says that if these shares should become tradable, then they will follow up, right? Or the exact words, if the shares do begin trading in the market, we will follow up with next steps. These shares are private, so they're not supposed to be traded. Perhaps they're going to come up with another CUSIP and another way for them to cover their shorts, because right now the question lies of where do these shorts go? And do they get away with just not having to cover? And what about all the naked shorts that supposedly are out there? I mean, do they just get away with what they did and they stole the money and that's it? I just don't understand. And how do they make up for all the shares that exist if there's more than those 165 million shares, which it sounds like there are? Or are they going to go and write NextBridge a big check to get out of this? And then who wins? NextBridge, but we lose. Right? If they create more shares than originally existed. And that's my biggest fear here, is that there has to be a way that they've come up with, they're going to get out of it. Now, NextBridge is, from my understanding, a subsidiary of and owned by MMAT or Metamaterials. And that's another thing. Look at this. They, in this notice from Robinhood, they call it Metametals, not even Metamaterials. They can't even get the stock ticker right. Please tell me that that's a mistake and that there's not something else going on that we need to be aware with. But Charles Payne said the same thing. He called it Metametals too. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on here, guys, but my head is literally just spinning with so many different thoughts. And it's very frustrating because the ultimate end here does not appear to be in retail's favor. And you know what? Great, a lawsuit was filed. That's all well and dandy. But guys, that lawsuit's not going to help you or I. That's one single investor filing a lawsuit against FINRA. I don't know. I honestly don't know. If you guys have thoughts going forward or what you think's going to happen here, I'd love to hear them. But to be honest with you, I don't think this ends well for retail. Let's just hope that there's some big buyout offer that comes down the road sometime. Although, guys, do not put a time frame on it because you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment. Right now, there are no offers. And they need money, quite frankly, right? So in order to drill that oil, they need money. If a hedge fund goes to them and offers them money, you don't think they're going to take it? I don't know. I honestly don't know, but you have to be real here. Money talks, and unfortunately, it's at our expense yet again. So, sad day to be a retail trader, unfortunately. But let's hope something good comes out of this in the end. Let's hope there's a lot of oil there and something big comes about and we're all able to make a significant amount off of this, because I feel like they stole an opportunity for a squeeze yet again. And guys, this has to make you realize, those of you still holding your AMC, I'm not trying to discourage you, but I'm trying to give you a reality check. If you ever think they're going to allow a retail stock to squeeze like AMC and GME did back a couple of years ago, especially GME, I don't think it's ever going to happen again. But that's my take on it. There's a lot of very heavily shorted stocks. Go back and listen to what John Breida has to say in that interview, because it's the truth. These companies that are small and that they need to do offerings in order to grow or to stay in business, they get shorted to oblivion over and over and over again. It's a rinse and repeat by these hedge funds. And if they don't have the shares, they don't care. They make them. They naked short them out the yin yang. And it's not right. So if you're out there and you own a corporation and you're thinking about going public, please do yourself a favor. And I think it's honestly, sadly, because that's not how it should be, probably the worst mistake that a company could ever make, because they just get taken advantage of by the manipulation on Wall Street. And it's disgusting because that's not what the stock market was set out for, and it's just wrong. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great night.